Hi modeling friends, and welcome back to my build of the Star Wars TIE Interceptor. A really neat little model, quite well executed by Revell in small scale. I found this quite good technique on how to mask canopies somewhere on the big World Wide Web. The idea is that you take some Tamiya tape or similar and burnish it down onto the canopy glass into the corner between the glass and the frame, the window and the window frame, you could say, using a toothpick or some other hard but blunt object. You don't want to poke a hole into the tape. And then you take a really sharp knife, a new blade, and cut along this edge between the pane and the frame on all sides, and in the end you might also want to burnish the edges down a little bit. It will be really interesting to see how this turns out when I'm painting this. I have not tried this method, but it looks really promising, and it wasn't that difficult, even though it was quite tedious with a lot of small paints on the cockpit glass. I had to take out some pins that were present where the different parts on the wings were supposed to mate when gluing these together. I used a chisel I had recently got to try that out to see if that would work as a good tool for this. It works, but it's not perfect, and the plastic in the Revell kit is quite hard, making it difficult or more difficult to do this than if it would have been. For example, I think the Airfix kits are quite softer, and then this would have been easier. I will see if I can find another better method of doing this. Maybe some sanding solution for a Dremel tool or something like that. But anyway, I got these pins out of the way, and I could glue the parts together. They have been using a clever system. You cannot really mount the stuff wrong. There are difference between the left and right attachment points, left and right wing, and so on. So that's quite good. They've been thinking a little bit of this, and I think it's because they are coming from a snap together kit as well on this one, even though this is not labeled as a snap together kit. It almost snaps together. I'm using a regular brush for the liquid cement here because there's so little cement left in the jar that the brush in the lid is not long enough. And you get very good control over how you spread the cement using a regular brush as well. I like the overall detail on the parts. They are really looking good. Wooden closed pegs are really good for clamping small stuff together. And I needed a little bit more glue on the other end here. If you like what you see, please hit that like button. I needed to prepare for all small details in the cockpit for painting, and also gluing the armrests to the seat. I use some tack it and put that on a wooden pin and then into a foam base. That works pretty good. And when I had prepared everything, I primed this with Tamiya's fine primer. I decided to take out some of the imperfections in the upper hull. I don't know if that will be visible or not, but it at least looks good. Then over to some detail painting. Here is the matte black coming on to the pilot. It's a very colorful pilot. Gloss and matte black. And a little bit of silver on the belt buckle. Quite a cheerful guy, right? Well, I guess the Imperial starfighters were not that cheerful. Tamiya's paints are of course best for airbrushing, but it's okay for brushing as well when it's not that big areas, I reckon. On the other interior parts, I had put a coat of Tamiya's XF19, which I think was the closest to what it says in the instructions, at least. Then there's a lot of opinions I see on the the discussions for this model. Then over to some detail painting on the interior of the cockpit. I had some issues with the lighting when filming this, so you have to bear with me. There were not that much that could actually be used, but I added some gunmetal on the floor here, and then the side panels as well were painted on the details, and it's looking pretty good. And of course, almost nothing will be visible when the model is finished, as usual with cockpits. You spend hours detailing a cockpit and then you close it up, and especially on the TIE fighters and TIE Interceptors, it's very obvious that you will not see that much.